What's going on, fellow engineers? In this video, I'm actually replace this here thermostat with a smart thermostat that I got here. So the reason that I am replacing this thermostat is because it has very limited functionality. It is a programmable thermostat, so it does allow me to schedule the various settings at various days and time. However, that's pretty much the only benefit that this one has. One problem that I have is the unevenness of heating and cooling in my house. You know, a lot of times you'll set the thermostat maybe to like 73 at night, but as the thermostat may be at 73, but you go into various rooms and the temperature is probably not at 73 like the thermostat is. So that the system itself will not kick on to regulate the temperature. So I'm gonna put in this smart thermostat. This one has obviously Wi-Fi, but it also has the circulate mode, which will allow the air to circulate in the house. You know, when, let's say, there's a certain amount of time that the unit does not run, well, the fan will kick on to circulate that air around. That way you still have fresh air being moved around, and if there's some unevenness of heating or cooling, that will better even out the temperature throughout the home. And obviously, you know, when you even out the temperature, the thermostat may actually kick on to better regulate that temperature accordingly. So first things first, got to take this off the wall, got to do some wiring adjustments in my unit, and then put the new thermostat on and set it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and proceed with taking off the thermostat. So this one has a screw underneath the bottom that holds the faceplate in place, and then off comes the wires here, or excuse me, off comes the front plate, and then you have the wire terminations as well as the wire itself that comes through here. Also be sure to switch off your thermostat before you pull it off the wall. That way the unit won't kick on while you're trying to disassemble it. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is actually go ahead and take the mounting plate off the wall first, and then I'm going to come back and disconnect the wires. And the reason I'm doing it in this order is so that when I pull the mounting plate off the wall, I can actually grab the wires from behind the mounting plate and they do not fall behind the wall. The worst case scenario, if the wires did fall behind the wall, you actually have to cut a hole in the wall to pull them back out. Alright, so now that I can do this, if you have a clothespin or something, you can put that back here. One other way of doing this is to wrap a pin or something of similar nature behind the wall. And I might have to take this, let me take this off. Is to wrap a pin or something behind this wire here, and that way it doesn't come off. So also be sure to take a picture of what your wires say. So, because the color of the wire may not necessarily represent the lettering of the wire. In my particular situation, the coloring of the wire does match the letters that show up down here at the bottom. However, that's not guaranteed to be the case. So do keep that in mind. To remove the wires, each thermostat will be different, or may be different. This one here, you just take a screwdriver and loosen up the screw in the bottom here, and you do this for each wire. Alright, and then you pull all of your wires out, and then out of the mounting plates here. And make sure you don't cross your wires together too, because I don't know if you just heard that, but the heating system just briefly kicked on when I put those wires to there. So let me also go shut off the air handler itself as well, to make sure that that will not kick on again like it just did. Before I do that though, I'm actually going to wrap this wire around this pin here, and that will keep it from falling back into the wall. On your air handler, there's usually some kind of switch, like a wall switch, that you will flip off to make sure that the system no longer has power. So you just go here and flip it off. If you can't find a switch similar to this, you can go to your breaker panel and flip the breaker off that corresponds to the air handler. You don't have to flip off the one for the compressor, but if you want to be extra safe, you can go ahead and flip off the one for the compressor. As I mentioned, this is the thermostat I'll be installing. It is a Honeywell smart color thermostat. The model number is RTH9585WF. If you want the link to this, it will be a link down in the description below. And so here's the box, and opening the box, which appears a little bit complex, opens on the top. So here you have the thermostat, and underneath the thermostat in the box is the mounting plate and a bunch of paperwork. So go ahead and take out the mounting plate and mount it to how it previously was. I also need to make an adjustment on my particular heating system to ensure that things work correctly. So let me get the mounting plate on and then go make that heating system adjustment. Alright, so I have my mounting plate out of the box here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this pin off of here so that I can get my wires through here. It's also one thing that I need to note is that if you, for this particular thermostat, you need to have a C wire. If you don't have a C wire, you can do the technique of moving the green wire over to the C and so forth, which is something I kind of really don't recommend, and what I've seen others advise not to do. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that same theory because that method of doing things is, while it works, is not necessarily the best. As you are securing the thermostat to the wall, it has an indication here that says level here. So put the level on top, make sure it is level, and then screw in and tighten the screws. So that's the horizontal screw, and then I'm going to do the vertical screw here. And these screws are Phillips head, but they'll also take a flathead as well. So if you have a flathead, great. If you have a Phillips head, great. And tighten that in all the way up to the wall until it doesn't move. And make sure it's still level once you're done. If not, unscrew it a little bit and then adjust it. But mine is still level, so good to go. All right, next thing up is to wire your wiring up to the same connections that you had when you were using your previous thermostat. So as I suggest, be sure to take a picture of it. This particular thermostat takes wires into the middle side, and then you push these in buttons here to allow the wire to come in. So I have, for mine, the colors mostly aligned to what they should be, with the exception of the blue wire. So I'm going to go ahead and push those in. May need a small screwdriver or something to push that in with. Let's see what I got. All right, so you just push it in and then release, and it locks. And that's how you keep the wire from coming out. Now I'm going to just go ahead and do the rest of these. With the exception of the blue. The blue I have to do slightly different. All right, so here we are at my furnace HVAC system. And so here are the lines that come in. There's one line that comes in from the thermostat, and then there's another line over here that comes in from the condenser coil that's outside. All right, and so the wiring adjustment that I'm going to have to do is with this blue wire. So as I mentioned, the blue wire on mine is different. I have a gas furnace here, slide it up right there. So gas furnace with cooling. And so what they have done is, so I guess the wires, the original wires that was here were not long enough when they originally put this new system in, or updated system in. And so what they did is they added some more thermostat wire here that has 7 wires in it, and then they connected each of the wires that corresponded accordingly here. And so that meant that this blue wire that comes from the thermostat had no use. So what I'm going to do is to actually take this blue wire, connect it to the brown wire that's on this extended thermostat wire here, that's already here, and the C terminal is right here. Right now nothing is connected to it because the thermostat that I took off had no purpose for it, and I'm going to use that to basically bridge the gap from here to here. Now what I could do is buy a new thermostat wire, run it from the unit all the way to the thermostat, and tie it in so that it matches accordingly. However, that's a little bit more effort, especially now that I've diagnosed how this needs to be connected. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed with that now. They wrapped the brown and orange wires here, and ironically, brown does not have the purpose that I'm assigning it to in this particular scenario. However, from what I've read, brown can be used as a C wire in some systems, so I'm going to use that in this particular scenario. So I've untwisted the brown wire, and we'll twist the blue and the brown here together and wrap this orange wire back around since it is spare and has no use. Alright, so the orange wire is back around here, and then I'm going to do essentially the same thing on this end, and then wrap the orange back around since it's not going to be used. And then that brown wire on this end will go to the C terminal, which is right here. Alright, so now I'm just stripped the wires down. Alright, so I have my 2 wires stripped, and just like how they twisted them here, I'm going to do basically the same thing and twist them all the way up to here. So I'm going to twist the ends so that they line up here. And then just twist the rest of the wire, kind of like how this is done, twist it all the way down, and do basically the same thing. Alright, and then so now I have my twisted wire, and then throw in a wire nut on the end of it, and boom, that's it. Alright, now to the other end, just need to strip it off. Alright, so I'm giving you a close-up now of how things look. So here's the new wire that I put in place here. So this is the blue wire from the thermostat, which goes up and over, and then the brown wire that comes over. Alright, so now I have all the wires in place. Gotta move some out the way. And so under here it's a little difficult to see, but there are so there's a C, G, Y, and all the other letters that correspond to my thermostat. And so since there is a C wire, this C wire is actually from the outside unit, so leaving that one in place, and I'm adding this C wire that will be going to the thermostat, which runs from here over to here and comes back out to this brown blue combination wire, and then this goes to the thermostat. That's the blue that goes to the thermostat. Alright, so next step is to put all the panels back in place and then go back to the thermostat and try it out. Alright, next step is to put the thermostat itself on. I had to reposition some of the wires, so hopefully they are still connected, and just shove it on there. And they really didn't give you much play or space to play with this particular thermostat. Pretty much all of the wires have to fit in this here indentation, and that's not really much space to really do anything. Not sure why that's the case, but I kind of wish they would go back and redo this a little bit better. All right, and it took a little bit of effort, but it's now on there. So I'm going to go switch on the air handler, and hopefully this thing powers up. All right, and there it was. The fan kicked on briefly when I switched on the air handler. I'm not sure if that's just something with this particular thermostat causing that or what. So now we'll wait till it does what it does, and then I'll walk you through the installation steps and process. All right, so it finally booted up, and the first thing that comes up is the menu. So I'm going to hit next. And so it says thermostat installed in home or business. I know this is a little bit difficult to read on the screen if you're watching this. So home is already selected by default, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And location name, I'm only having one thermostat, so I'm going to leave it set to thermostat. So I'm going to hit next. I have heating and cooling, so next. It is a forced air system, and mine uses gas. So if you have electric, obviously select electric. Mine is standard efficiency, so it's probably 15 to 20 years old at this point, so I'm going to leave it at standard. If yours is better than that, you can set it to high efficiency. Alright, so I have a single stage cooling, so one wire, and I have the Y wire connected. Alright, do next. And I have single stage heating, which is the W wire, so that is that. So I'm going to hit done. And now it is saving all of the changes. So it's asking if I want to do a Wi-Fi network. I'll go ahead and hit yes. And whoops, gotta go back. Alright, and so here's my Wi-Fi network. Alright, so now it is attempting to connect to the Wi-Fi. And the connection was successful, so I'm gonna hit OK. Now to register for online access, it has some information here. I'm not going to do that right away. And I'm going to hit done. Alright, so right now it has various details on the screen. So we'll just go ahead and go through. So set the date and time. So today is May 25th. Some of you people may refer to that as Memorial Day of the year 2020. So set it done. And it is currently about 3:15. And set that to done. All right. And to get the online access, it's prompting here. Switch over to fan, and so you have the on, automatic, and circulate. So I'm going to go ahead and test this out. So if I switch it to on and hit done, so the fan is now on. Not sure if you can hear it through the video, but I do hear it running. So if I go back to fan and set it to automatic and hit done, the fan is turned off, so that's good. Alright, so the mode, I want it in cooling because it is blazing hot outside right now. Alright, and going over to settings, so you can set a schedule, you can view the schedule summary, colors, vacation mode, preferences, the status, date, time, temporary settings, security settings, Wi-Fi, and system setup. So that is pretty much it for this installation video. If this video has been helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if this is your first time to the channel and you like what you see in this video, please be sure to subscribe. That way you get notifications of when future videos come out. And until next time, peace out.